Okay, so we are on to the Relearn packet, and the first part of today's Relearn packet will work almost completely on coordinate geometry related stuff. So what we're going to do is go through each of these questions from the test piece by piece, and hopefully you guys will gain a better understanding of them. I want to remind you, here's the deal. You do section A with me, or part A, whatever you want to call it. You do it with me. Follow along on this video. I will try to explain the biggest mistakes I saw happen during the test when I can. And then once we're done with section or part A, the next thing you're going to do is you do part B on your own. Do not proceed to part C. Just do part B. Then show me or someone who's real qualified, like a tutor or your resource room teacher or something like that, someone like that. Have them look over, or me look over section B. Make sure you're doing it right. Only when we're sure you're doing it right should you then proceed and go over section C. Okay, so here we go. You do that for each of the parts that you struggled with on the test. So number one says, what is the image of -2, 4 after a reflection in the x-axis? So what I want to do is actually find the point -2, 4. There it is. Some people are having a hard time plotting points. So let me just give you a quick reminder of how to plot points here, in case you're one of the ones struggling with this. If you're not, just kind of fast forward the slider. You don't need to necessarily listen to this part. So this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. When I come across the point -2, 4, that means that the x is -2 and the y is 4. So I come out here where x is -2, and there it is. And then I go to where y is 4 here, and then what I want to do is I want to take where -2 meets y equals 4, where x is -2, here that is, meets where y is 4, here's that is. So where they meet forms the point -2, 4. Just to show you where the point -4, 5 is, or -4, 5, that's what I just said. Uh-oh, sorry about that. -4, 5, that'll be right here, -4, 5. Make sure you get that point. What about the point 4, -2? That's the next one I'll do, 4, -2. Find that point. X is 4, y is -2. X is 4 here, y is -2 here. The two graphs meet right here. That would be the point 4, -2. Okay, so in case you struggled with that, we have it set up. Let's go back to our point -2, 4. Now first I want to reflect over the x-axis. Now remember, this is the x-axis. When we reflect, we always remember the terminology count and repeat to the, in this case, x-axis. We also think of it as flipping. So if I want to count and repeat to the x-axis, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat 1, 2, 3, 4. There is my point. That is the image point. So this is going to be, again, the x is still at -2, right? 0, -1, -2. The x is still at -2, but now the y is at -4. So the answer to number 1 is -2, -4. Now the next one says to take the same exact point, -2, 4. Here it is. And this time reflected over the y-axis. Now the y-axis is this vertical one. So again, I'm going to count and repeat. 1, 2, 1, 2. What are the coordinates of this point? They are 2, 4. And that is my correct answer to the second one. So the big thing about numbers 1 and 2 is count and repeat, count and repeat, count and repeat, or flip over the axis. Now number 3 says, what is the image of 3, 7 after a dilation by a scale factor of 5? Now, when we see the word dilation, we are thinking multiply. So it's by a factor of 5. So that means I'm going to do 3 times 5 and 7 times 5, which is 15, 35. Okay? So that's number 3, 15, 35. Now we go to number 4, and this is very, very difficult for me to demonstrate on these videos. This is the point 1, 5. 1, 5 is right here. No, I'm sorry, that's 1, 4. Gotta go up one more. 1, 5 is right here. Now, what I'm going to do is turn counterclockwise 90 degrees. And the best way for you to do it is to put your finger in the middle of the paper and just spin your paper 90 degrees. When you do that, this point is going to end up over here. And the coordinates of that point are -5, 1. If you do that with your paper, you will see that it works. And you come up with -5, 1. So the answer to number 4 is -5, 1. And the answer to number 5, they want you to spin it another 90 degrees. So I go another 90 degrees, and I end up right here, and this would be -1, -5. So the answer to number 5 becomes -1, -5. It's very difficult for me to demonstrate how to do this on the board, but if you try it with your paper, if you don't get it right in part B, I will go over it with you in part B and show you how to spin your paper. Okay, number 6. Number 6 says, let's start with the image, we want to find the point -5, 4. So -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, +4, 1, 2, 4. So here's the point, -5, 4. Now I'm going to do a translation, 3 units left and 4 units up. So that's 1, 2, 3 left, 1, 2, 3, 4 up. So if I go 3 to the left, I'm going to get to -8, right? -5 becomes -6, -7, -8. And then if I'm at 4 and I go up 4 more, that would be 5, 6, 7, 8. So the answer to number 6 is -8, 8. And then number 7 says the answer to 1, -3. Here's 1, -3 right here. 1, -3, right? X is +1, the Y is -3. They meet right here. And you want to move 7 right and 1 down. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 right, 1 down. So if I'm at 1 and I go 7 to the right, that would be 8, and 1 down would make me to -4. Now, there's another way to look at each of these questions, and I'm going to do it this way. 1, -3. If I'm going to add 7 to the right, that means I'm going to go 7 to the right. I'm going to add 7. And the Y, I'm going to go 1 down, so that would be 1 down. 1 plus 7 is 8. -3 and -1 make -4. So 8, -4 is the correct answer to that guy. And number 8 says another dilation, but a scale factor of 3/4. And that means I'm going to multiply by 3/4. And I think the hard part of this one is the multiplying by 3/4. So here we go. I'm going to put multiplication by 3/4 to each of them, just like here I added, or added a negative in this case. Here I'm going to multiply. 4 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 goes into 8 twice. -2 times 3 is -6. So 3 -6 is going to be the answer to -8. Now there is another way to do this. You could also do the following. You could do 4 times 3/4, comma, -8 times 3/4. And you could multiply the numerators. Put each of these over 1. 4 times 3 is 12/4. -8 times 3 is -24/4. 12/4 is 3. -24/4 is -6. So whichever way you prefer. If you want to multiply first like we did here and then divide, or if you want to divide first and then multiply, either way I come up with the same answer of 3, -6. All right, so that covers questions 1 through 8. Now we go to the next page. Number 9 is a question that virtually every person got right. It says, which of the following questions, there we go. What's the only transformation that can change the size of a shape that it transforms? The only one that changes the size of a shape is always, always, always going to be a dilation. Just like when your eyes dilate, your pupils they change their size. So too does the dilation transform in a way that changes size. Number 10, which choice best reflects this? Or best pictures what's below? This is a reflection. Look, this guy has been flipped. We're pointing this way, I flip it, now it's pointing that way. So this is definitely a flip It's as if you could fold your paper on this line, and this arrow on the one side would land on top of the arrow on the other side. So this is a classic. A flip is a reflection. So number 10 is a reflection. Now we go to number 16. What type of transformation is this pictured in number 16? Well, clearly we're not flipping here. If we were flipping, then this little tab here would come over here. Let's see here, so 5 is it. And then this piece here would be over here. That's not happening, so this is not a flip. And we're not spinning it either, because if I spun it, then the little tab there, that would be up. That's not it, so we're not spinning either. We're not making it bigger or smaller, so it's not a dilation. But if you look at this, what I'm doing is I'm sliding it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the left, up 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the left, up 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the left, up 1. So this is a translation specifically 7 to the left and up 1. I could write that as this. 7 to the left is x minus 7, y plus 1 is y up 1. Or I could just say that it's a translation. Either way is cool. And next up is number 20. And number 20 is, I think, a bit of a challenging question. Number 20 comes from a Common Core question that was released a couple of years ago. And it says, figure Q is the result of a sequence of transformations. That means more than one, both shown below. Which could it be? Well, let's talk about the first choice. Could I have reflected? Now, P, it's very important you realize this, P becomes Q, because Q is the result of P. So here's P, here's Q. So clearly, to go from P to Q, we're going to slide to the right. And if I look here, how many am I going to slide to the right? I'm going to slide a lot more than one unit. So this one says 1 right. That can't be it. This point here is going all the way over here. That's more than 4 units right. So I'm either going to reflect over the x-axis or I'm going to reflect over the y-axis. If I reflect over the y-axis, I'll come all the way over to here. But then I'm going to reflect over y, but then I'm not translating it anywhere. I reflected it over the y. To get down to where Q is, I'd have to reflect it again. Gee, I don't think that's going to work. All right, so now, what if I do this one? What if I reflect over the x-axis? Now, that would put me here. Okay, I flip over the x-axis, remember? Flip or count and repeat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's cool. Now, if I then took P and slid it this way, well, it's like P prime kind of. If I then slid it this way, I'm going, let's do this point here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right. So if I do a reflection over the x-axis and then slide 7 to the right, I end up with it on there. And this is a little challenging because you're doing 2 transformations at once to figure P. But it is a flip over the x-axis, that gets me down there, and then a slide to the right. Okay? All right, and the last but not least on this particular section is the question about the triangle and doing some reflections and stuff. So I'm going to read this off of my paper, and you can read it off of your paper as we go over this. The first thing it says is there's a triangle NYR with coordinates N, Y, and R. So N is 2, 5. So that's 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is N. Y is 5, 7. So this is 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. This is going to be 5, 7. And then R is 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. So there is triangle NYR. And if you notice, it said to label it. That's why it's very important to put the N, the Y, and the R there. Then it says graph the image N prime, Y prime, R prime after I reflect NYR in the x-axis. So since I'm going to go in the x-axis, I'm going to counter repeat or flip over the x-axis. So that's 1, 1. That will be r prime. This will be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. This will be y prime. N prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is N prime. So there is triangle N prime, Y prime, R prime reflected over the x-axis. And that makes sense because look, this is the x-axis. And doesn't it look as when I draw this line here that I could fold over that line and the red triangle would land on top of the blue triangle? That's what I want. And then part C says, graph N double prime, Y double prime, R double prime, the image of the original one, NYR, after a translation, which is a slide, 5 units left and 4 down. So I'm going to go 5 left, 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be N double prime. Y would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4. This is Y double prime. And R would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is R double prime. So here to here to here, the green triangle is the image of the red triangle after a translation, 5 units left and down 1. Okay, so what you have just seen is all of what you need to know for the biggest, longest part of this, the transformation section of this Relearn packet. Okay, remember, now you go, if you need to watch the video again, watch it again, but now you go at some point and you do part B. Don't do part C until I get a chance to check over part B. All right? Have a good one. Enjoy. Good luck.